Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today's deep dive is right up your alley, especially with your interest in how tech and neurodiversity connect.
It's fascinating stuff.
It really is. We're diving into this blog post, and it's all about this intriguing link between autism and programming.
Oh, I'm interested to hear where this goes.
Me too. So the post starts off saying that people with autism are like finding a real home, a niche in the programming world. But instead of just, taking that at face value, what's the real connection we're trying to dig into here? What's the deeper story?
See, this post, it kind of flips the script on what we think makes someone a programming whiz. It's saying that autism, which, yeah, it has its challenges, no doubt, but it also comes with these like cognitive strengths, right? And these strengths, they can be absolute gold when it comes to coding.
Okay, I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Though, super important point here, and the post touches on this. Autism is a spectrum, right? So we're talking about potential here, not like every single person with autism is going to be, the next coding superstar.
Right, of course. And that actually ties in perfectly with this whole idea of neurodiversity, which basically says that differences in how our brains work, well, they're totally normal. They're not deficits, just variations.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like different operating systems, all capable of amazing things.
Love that analogy. Okay, so one thing that really jumped out at me in this article was how it kept mentioning attention to detail. They were saying it's a real strength often seen in people with autism. And it got me thinking, why is that particular strength so valuable in programming?
Well, think about it. Code is like the definition of detail-oriented. You've got your syntax has to be absolutely perfect, your logic flow, every single thing has to be exactly where it needs to be for that program to actually work. Right?
Yeah, tell me about it. One tiny error can throw the whole thing off.
Exactly. And that's what the article's getting at. People with autism, they often gravitate towards systematizing things, They thrive in environments where there are clear rules, clear structures. And guess what? That's basically programming languages in a nutshell. It's like their brains are kind of wired to think in that structured, logical way that code needs.
It's like their brains are already speaking the language of code, in a way.
Right. It's a natural fit.
Okay, so speaking of details, and I love how this all ties together, the blog post also mentions pattern recognition as a major strength. How does that play into the programming world?
Well, that's where debugging comes in. See, finding and fixing errors in code, it's all about pattern recognition. You're looking for the thing that's out of place, the glitch, messing up the whole system. The article suggests that being able to spot those inconsistencies, the things other people might miss, that becomes a superpower in programming.
It's like having a sixth sense for code errors.
Right.
Well,
you're like a code whisperer. You just sense it.
I love it. Okay, and they also talk about this ability to, process huge amounts of information, which I can only imagine is...
It's crucial for programming.
Right. Tell me more about how that ties in.
Okay, so imagine this. You're a programmer, right? You got to keep all this code in your head, see how it all connects, how it flows, all the different parts talking to each other. It's a lot. But the article suggests that for some autistic people, this actually plays to their strengths. They're able to process and remember all that info in a very systematic way, which makes them incredible problem solvers.
It's like they can see the matrix, the code matrix.
Exactly. They can see the patterns, the connections that others might miss.
This is fascinating, and it made me think of another thing that article talked about, intense focus and perseverance. Now, isn't that ANI programmer when they're in the zone coding away? What's different here?
You're right. Tons of programmers experience that flow state where they get totally absorbed in their work. But this is different. This is like next level focus, what they call hyper focus. Some people with autism experience this intense, almost involuntary focus on things they're interested in. And when that interest is coding, watch out. They can get so much done, dive so deep into these complex projects.
It's like their superpower kicks in.
Right. It's not just liking your work. It's your brain being hardwired for it.
It's like destiny. Almost. And what I love is that this isn't just theoretical, The post gives some great examples of successful autistic people in tech, like Satoshi Tajiri, the guy who created Pokemon. He's talked openly about having Asperger's.
That's right.
And thinking back to what we were saying about attention to detail.
Oh, yeah.
I don't help but imagine how that might have come out in creating those insanely detailed game worlds. All the intricate character attributes, everything.
Absolutely. It just shows you how these cognitive strengths can translate into real-world success. And not just success, but legendary culture-defining success.
Totally. Okay, so the post wraps up with this call to embrace neurodiversity. And we've talked about how this is obviously beneficial for neurodivergent individuals, but zoom out for a second. Why should the entire tech industry care?
Well, here's where it gets really interesting. The tech industry, they're always looking for skilled programmers, right? It's like a never-ending search.
Oh, absolutely. The demand is huge.
Huge.
Yeah.
So if they're not actively looking to include neurodiverse individuals, they're potentially missing out on this, like, gold mine of talent. People who have the exact skills they need, but might not fit the traditional mold.
Right. They're limiting themselves.
Exactly. It's not just about social responsibility, though that's important. It's about recognizing that embracing neurodiversity can give you a competitive edge.
Diversity of thought, new ways of approaching problems.
That's how you get true innovation.
Man, this deep dive has been seriously eye-opening. I mean, we've learned that those cognitive strengths that are often associated with autism, they can be incredible assets in programming, and it really makes you question those traditional ideas of what makes someone successful in this field.
It really does make you think.
It does, and it makes you wonder, what other fields out there could benefit from the unique perspectives of neurodiverse individuals? It's something to think about. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time.
Thanks for having me.